Hey everybody, welcome back to DC Football 101. I'm your host Lucas, part of 14 Rings and NFC East podcast, and we are recording because, as you probably saw on our YouTube page earlier, Maurice had his first post-Super Bowl Philly Cooking with Maurice about the NFL schedule, and we're going to talk about that. But there are two other things that I want to talk about real quick before we get into that. First one is I want to shout out Margie Harris, wife of Josh Harris, owner of the Washington Commanders. And I like the little jab that she took at the Dallas Cowboys, saying that the Commanders are America's team. I'm all for it. Look, I love the pettiness. I love it. It's fantastic. It's all in good fun, though, right, guys? But look, I would love for the football team that is moving back to the nation's capital to become America's team. That seems appropriate to me personally. But we're getting off track here. So the other thing that I want to talk about before we talk about the schedule is Jayden Daniels. Look, there are a bit. People talk about glow ups all the time. Jayden Daniels had a glow up in the weight room. This guy looks significantly more jacked after an off season of conditioning. And, one of the things that has been a knock against him has been, of course, his thin frame. Well, he's not quite as thin this season. So that is a good thing for Washington Commanders. He can take a hit probably better than he did last year. The rib injury caused a 3-game skid, which was not fun for us. But, hopefully with a full off season to gain some muscle mass, that is good for our franchise quarterback. That being said, let's get into the Washington Commanders 2025 schedule. So we start a doozy off with the New York Giants. Good divisional game. They always play us good. Sometimes they beat us. Actually, if we're being honest, historically, they've won the matchups there significantly. But I don't, I'm not going to make predictions just like Maurice didn't, but we'll see what happens. Then, it's not the worst schedule here. You go to Green Bay on a Thursday night game. That's going to be a fun one. Las Vegas at home, and then we go on a 2-game road skid where against Atlanta with Michael Penix, which was a great game last year. You go to LA against the Chargers. That's another good game in my opinion. Then, of course, the one that everybody's been waiting for since the Hail Mary win for the Washington Commanders last season, us at home against the Chicago Bears. Now, we'll see whether or not Caleb Williams has a year 2 resurrection or if he has a regression. We'll see. Then we go on the road against the Dallas Cowboys in Week 7. That's always a good game against Dallas. And then we play against the AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs. We'll see what happens there, too. And if you see me looking over here, I'm just looking at my screen so I can read off to these guys. So I'm not looking at my phone or nothing else. So, then Seattle. That's, going revenge game from 2 years ago for sure. Detroit, NFC divisional games. That's going to be a good one. Going to Real Madrid against the Miami Dolphins. That's always a good game. That's going to be a good game. We'll see what happens there. And going against another former rookie that was drafted with Jayden Daniels, home hosting the Denver Broncos. That is going to be a Sunday night game as well. Then you have 2 road games, one against Minnesota, and then the next 4 games, including this the second of a 2 road game stretch, is going to be against NFC East divisional rivals, starting off with the New York Giants, followed by the Philadelphia Eagles, followed by another home game. The second home game in this stretch is going to be against the Dallas Cowboys, and we finish it up on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles yet again. I'll be honest, the first half of the schedule, I dig, I like. However, this back end is heavy loaded, and look, playing 4 divisional games in a row, 2 of which are on the road, is not going to be easy for anybody. That's a hard way to finish the season. I'm not going to do predictions, but you know what? We got to step up big. That's for sure. But anyway, that's just my thoughts here. It's going to be some good divisional games. Divisional games are always a toss-up in my book. It could go either way. But look, outside of Kansas City and, maybe Detroit and Green Bay, the rest of these games, I don't hate. I'll put it that way. Like I said, not making predictions right now. That I'll save that for before we get to the start of the season. But anyway, guys, that's just my thoughts here. Didn't want to get on here for too long, spout too much, but I just wanted to share my opinion with you guys here. I think the NFC East as a whole kind of got screwed on the schedule this year, not going to lie, playing against the NFC North. which of course, as we know, is the second hardest division in the NFC. So this is a gauntlet. I'm not gonna lie, this is not gonna be easy for the Commanders or any team in the NFC East. You know what? That's why they call us the Beast, right? So that's what we're gonna do. Make sure that you guys like this video, subscribe, share, comment, whatever you need to do. Make sure you subscribe to 14 Rings and NFC East podcasts on YouTube, as well as any of our following other options, including Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. Make sure that you guys follow us on our socials, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter /X, and Instagram, as well as Threads. Until next time, peace.